So here we are back at the Girard motor for the Sony PS-5520. I've made locating marks and drill marks for the plate here to drill pilot holes for screws to hold this motor to the existing motor plate. And then with that orientation, thankfully I'll only have to make a small notch in the plinth for the motor to clear so I can put everything back in the base. So I'm going to separate the motor plate from the motor, and we'll drill the holes out, and then we'll see how that looks and see how it mounts up. I'll just use some self-tapping screws to hold it in place. Nominally, it looks like two of the three screws are going to clear, and the third one, this one over here, I'm probably going to have to take a notch out of that little plastic guide there for the windings. But let's get the motor separated, and then I'll drill my holes, and then I'll show you what the aftermath looks like. Alright, so here it is with the pilot holes drilled. What let's do now, see if we look down in there, we see, well, maybe you can't see, I can see that the little plastic thing that's the guide for the windings needs to be trimmed back. So I'm going to see if I can stick a little marking paint pen in there and then notch that out so that I don't have to worry about clearance issues. Then I'll just use a short machine screw. Alright, so you can see that I've notched out the plastic there, such that when I put everything back together, that notch, can't really see it through here, but the notch clears the pilot hole. Just drop some hardware. So now I'm going to put it back together and mount it up in the plate, and we'll see how this one works out. Okay, so here's the best fit. I ended up using one keeper screw there that kind of holds it to the board. Focus. Come on. That's not helping me either. I hate software focus algorithms, especially when my hand is shaking like a flea on a hot brick. Alright, so then I used self-tappers to get that in there. But it's mounted. So now what I gotta do is put it back in the machine and see how it hangs from the machine. Let's do that. Alright, so there it is mounted on its plate. Looks pretty clean. Top side looks pretty clean. I'm going to have to make a little adjustment of the derailleur there and bend it a little over so that it doesn't rub. Pretty close to the original pulley fitment. And then we have obviously the problem with the base clearance, which I'll show you. That's why they use this tiny little motor to make everything fit. They already had to notch that away for the spring cup on this model. I didn't do that. That was there when I had it. But as you can see, when I set it in there, the only thing that doesn't clear, it's hard to see, but basically this little edge here, if I just shave that level with this, it should work. And there's still enough room there for the spring, but that's for another day. But it's in there. It's really awesome. I think what I'll do is set a pulley on there and adjust the height and see what it's going to look like. So that's holding it at about the right height, and I have lots of adjustment. So that's going to work great. And as you can see, I just need to bend that over a little bit so that it clears the belt a little better without rubbing on it. That's no big deal. This is going to work out really well, I think. So I'm very thankful for all that. So next videos will be I'll notch that cabinet out and make it the motor clear, and then we'll figure out a way to wire it up. That shouldn't be hard at all. And then we can get this thing going soon. This is good news. Alright, so I notched it with a jigsaw there, and as you can see now, the motor clears beautifully and my suspension clears perfectly. So now it's just going to be a matter of wiring the thing up and adjusting the pulley and the derailleur, and then we'll see how well it works. Looking good so far.